Oh, hello. I will be with you shortly because you have far more interesting topics to hear about from far more interesting individuals. But I did want to take a minute to let you know that if you're struggling with the new church directory app, I see you, I hear you, I'm here for you. Right now, I'm going to show you a quick 2-minute video that is going to go over most of what some of your problems might be that we put together a couple months back when we first rolled it out. But if you're like me, you've hopefully slept since then, so you might just not remember this coming by your email. But I'm happy to share the link to this as a walking you through if you need it. And in between services today, after your class is over, I'm going to be out here at the Next Steps desk to troubleshoot with you individually anything that you need on your phone. So we can go through this journey together. Like Keenan said, the one thing that I cannot help you with is if you do not know your Apple ID or Android Play Store passwords, you should be grateful that I don't know those passwords to put into your phone for you, but we can't do anything together to get the app going if you don't have that information. But I can walk you through recovering that information if your email's set up on your phone. So if that's standing in your way, come find me. But now, listen to me talk on a video, because I'm sure that's even better than listening to me talk in person. So let's go.
So you've just received this email inviting you to join our directory, and you want to know what to do next. This video is here to help you know what happens next. Go from this email and go on your phone, whether it's an iPhone or an Android device, and pull up the App Store. You'll see in the App Store, you'll search for Church Center. You're looking for the Church Center app that has this icon, and you download it. You're going to wait a little bit for that app to download, and once it does, open it. There, once the app is open, you will see the Get Started button that lets you use your location to find us, Harvard Avenue Christian Church. Then you select This is my church. You'll then be invited to enter your phone number. Don't enter mine, enter yours, and press Next. You'll be prompted to give a 6-digit code. That 6-digit code will come to you via email, and then you'll be invited to log in as yourself. You can choose to enable Face ID, to enable notifications, and then you'll be at the home page for our new app. You can click on the button that says Directory, and you'll be taken to this screen where you'll see other folks who have already joined. You'll see that Share Now button, and you'll want to click there and select what information about you and anyone in your household you would like visible. After you've chosen those things, you click Share, and you are officially in the directory. You'll be able to share your information with others, either as single individuals or as household, toggling between those two icons you see at the top. You'll also be able to look at lots of other great features within, like the calendar, which you can see here. It shows us events that are coming up in the next couple of weeks at the church. You can also click over from the calendar if there's a particular sign up for an event you're interested in. Those will be populated shortly, and you'll be able to do so here. If you belong to a life group at church, this will be a place for folks in your life group to chat, and there you have it.
Okay, so really quickly, just to take us back a couple screens, one of the questions that I heard a couple times today.
You'll be able to share your information with others, either as
she's still talking. She needs to stop. Some of the questions that I heard today were about, Whitney, why is my directory think for a second that I would like for it to alphabetize by first name? I hear testify. Yes, preach, preacher. So if you can go in your phone, when it's organizing by first name, that little gray person icon next to the little gray or the blue house icon, click that gray person icon. It will populate another icon next to it that says AZ with an arrow. Click the AZ with an arrow and move the green check mark to last name. And then you will be able to look for people by last name instead of wondering how many Lindas are in the directory while you look for the one you need. Also, on that groups feature that it talked about, that groups feature, challengers, if you're on the challengers newsletter list, you are sorted into that groups feature as a group there. It's a great feature that might be advantageous to you in the future, but right now it is a place that you can go and look and see who all of the members of Challengers are. You might be thinking, but Whitney, I just changed my directory to sort by last name. Why is this group still sorting by first name? That is because this is a feature typically for small groups, not groups of 173 people. So that is a good place to pop quiz yourself on how many Lindas are in your class, so you're welcome. But there are lots of great features. Like I said, I will be available after if you want to go through anything together. I want to be mindful of the time for your scheduled speaker for today, but is that good for, yes, Connie?
Be sure and have everybody do both members of the household because remember what happens?
Yes, thank you. If you're in a household with 2 adults, you want to make sure that both of you are on there and using separate email addresses. There's a feature in here where it does a head of household thing, and it auto-populates based upon what it decides on information sometimes. Connie and Mark had the big headache of Mark's like, I'm not Connie, why am I getting all of her correspondence? So that's the first time I've heard of it happening, but I'm not gonna rule it out as a possibility for future. So make sure that you both, if there are 2 of you in your household, that you both sign up for it. Thank you. Yeah, Richard.
When the directory is updated by new members, does that come to us automatically?
Yes, so the directory is constantly updating and renewing itself, which is very helpful. It means that you don't have to wait for updates. They happen in real time. So anytime new folks get added and accept into the directory, you'll see them there instantaneously. This does mean that sometimes you might look at your directory app and say, oh my gosh, why is Betsy Richards' picture on top of Star Barnard's picture? That's just because your app is lagging because it's doing an update and it will sort everything back out. It hasn't actually jumbled you in a weird Guess Who fashion. I promise. Is there one last question for me? My solution for tall people is that you look at how you've edited the picture that you've added in, and if that sounds like it is above your photoshopping skills, my office hours are Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Come on by and I will see you. But thank you all very much, and like I said, I'll see anybody out here at the Next Steps desk after your class.
And if all else fails, get your grandkids to help you. So, right? Okay. So, we've got a few announcements. Yeah, thank you, Whitney. We've got a few announcements. One that was a little late getting in the Challengers chat is that Judy Klein is recovering from wrist surgery, and it set her back 6 weeks, but they're hopeful. Ken and Judy are hopeful they'll be at the Christmas party. So that's good news. We had some other announcements today. Let's see. Who was it that you wanted to say something? No? Okay, Richard didn't want to say anything. The party is a week away, the Christmas party. It's this Thursday. Okay, good. I was just testing everybody, just testing you. Yeah, and bring blankets, twin-size blankets. Okay, I guess we're ready for our prayer, Mike.
Shall we pray? Dear Lord, in a world filled with ugliness, we look forward to the Christmas season and its reminder of what truly counts in this life. It's a time when we are asked to choose generosity rather than selfishness, kindness rather than anger, love instead of hate, and perhaps most importantly, hope rather than despair. In a world that seems to have gone mad, we need you more than ever. Amen.
Mike, good job. Thank you. All right. Well, it's my honor to introduce my friend Bill Mildren. There's a lot to like about him and a lot to admire. Bill was born in Joplin, and his athletic abilities led him to get a scholarship in track at TU, where he graduated and then got a master's degree. He started teaching and then decided to get into the financial industry and has been in that for over 50 years. And one of the things I admire is he opened offices for different companies here in Tulsa and around and was able to manage stockbrokers who are difficult group to manage sometimes, and he did it with a palm. Did a great job. He's married to Linda, and together they have 4 grown children and 12 grandchildren. One less than Star and I might add. But job well done. And I hope you've had an opportunity to hear him play his piano, because he's a gifted piano player and a great joke teller. So I hope you have him tell you a joke sometime. He's been a Sunday school teacher at Kirk of the Hills, and so he knows a lot. He's a very gifted person. Bill, come on up.
Well, I want to say this first. I don't like to teach from the standpoint of standing up here and telling you how the cow ate the cabbage. So for this to be as much fun as I want it to be, I'm going to be the one that poses a number of questions. And then from that, I hope we can have a really fruitful discussion, learn some stuff, and have some fun along the way. So over the years, I read different things, and some things just catch my eye, and I file them away, and I'll use that someday. So this one goes back a long way, and here we go. The life of mankind is just an exaggeration of the life cycle of the salmon. Think about it. Think about it. And now, let's chart it. If we drew a chart of the life cycle of the salmon, what might that chart look like? Okay, if I use this, is this okay? Okay. I'm going to propose that it might look like this. And then this. What's going on here? First thing that happens to get the cycle going. Okay, the eggs get fertilized, and this time of the year, then we've got young salmon swimming around. Okay, let's call that birth. What's this about? That's when they go to the ocean. They drop way down to the ocean, and they're out there a long time. So they start in fresh water, then they go to seawater, survive, and then what's going on here? They're headed back up to where? Freshwater. And it's the exact same stream. Okay. So that's called an archetype. Most literature is an archetype, just like that. Think about it. And now, let's relate this archetype, I'll draw a new one, to the life of Jesus. What do you want to put up here? Okay, his birth. And what's he doing for a while? And growing up and studying. Okay. Birth and some development. Maybe some preaching. What happens here? That leads to this. He's teaching, but what precipitates this sort of thing happening? Pardon me? He starts doing his teachings, and where does that land him after a while? He gets tried, convicted. ends up on the cross. He's here. Then what happens? He's resurrected, and where does he go? Back where he started. He's back with his Father. Okay? So, that's an archetype. There are a lot of them. You can apply it to many, many things. Some charts that are not archetypes. I might use this one. If your life went like that, what would you call that line? That's a linear line. I'm born, great parents, go to great schools, graduate, earn more money every year, nothing bad ever happens. That's linear. Pretty unlikely, but that's what it looks like. The other chart that I like, as I call stair steps. A good stair step is a series of higher highs and higher lows. And we call that in the stock market a bull market. The problem is sometimes this happens. And then you have to go through tiny stair steps to what's called build a base, and then you can resume climbing. So, probably most literature follows the archetype. Birth and teachings of Jesus, trial and execution, resurrection, continued presence, rejoining his Father. So I would encourage you to, at some point, think about this archetype in terms of your life. And have there been periods where it was linear? Have there been periods where it was a stair step? Sequence of higher highs and higher lows. So in this life, where are we headed? And this is where I want to talk about what I titled this, Guides for the Journey. I love that title. And we all have them. So just sort of not criticizing any thought that you might have, but think about your life and who were some of your important guides. Where'd they come along and when, and, you know, whether your upbringing, your education, your vocation, where you go to church, what you do with your life. Those are all things that you think about guides. So I'm going to ask you to name some famous guides. I'm going to have that coffee. Mm-hmm. Think about it, just in literature and in movies, or you just began at the top, didn't you? He's the Kit Carson of yeah.
Did you say guys?
Guides, Guides. Name some famous guides.
John the Baptist would be his guy.
Who's that?
John the Baptist.
Yes, absolutely. Mother Teresa. Gandhi, for sure. Dalai Lama. Who's that? Yeah. So when you think about your life, I think there's some commonality to every life as to guides. So beginning with your life, think about who your important guides were that got you going on the right trails, beginning at the beginning.
I said the Holy Spirit.
Okay.
What did she say?
She said the Holy Spirit. Okay.
Your parents.
Your parents, I agree. Grandparents, in my case, for sure. Teachers, for sure. Neighbors. You're expelled. Ministers, yeah. Just get going on that. It's pretty interesting. So here's a question. We talk about guides for the journey and the journey itself. Is life a sprint like I did in college, or is it a marathon like I didn't do in college, or something else? What do you think? Marathon. Are there some sprints in there? Yeah. They don't. Maybe they jolt you to do something else. So I guess my perspective is life is both a sprint and a marathon. There are both things going on. And so here's the point I want to make with that. This is one of my recent observations, like in the last 10 years. Looking back, if you're down at the train station, different trains pull in. This is a life analogy. So sometimes the train that pulls in for you might be the train that you should get on, because it's going to take you a long way, spiritually and professionally and otherwise. The temptation, if you get on, there are all sorts of things that make you tempted to do this, is to get off in Bartlesville, even though it's headed to the West Coast. So you think, well, and what makes you think that way, and in my business too, is, geez, I bought it at 10, it's 12, I'm up 20% on it. Well, maybe it's Apple Computer or Google. So we have ways of sort of tricking ourselves to out of not getting on the train, but staying on it. So lastly, I want to talk a lot about you're on this journey, and I think it's important to, as much as you can, finish the journey. So what constitutes finishing? And how prominent is it to finish what you're doing? What were Jesus' last words on the cross? It is finished. I asked you to read something out of the Bible, and go ahead.
Okay. This is from Hebrews 12, 1-20. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endures such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart.
That's it. So I think that's good stuff. So now I want to talk to you about this. Just to pull a number out of the air. In this, I would ask you to relate to your personal experiences. How does God talk to you? What are the ways he talks to you? Okay.
It's like a light bulb, and you just get this inspirative thought, and yeah, for me, that's how that works.
A Paul on the road to somewhere and experience?
I don't think anyone's had that experience.
Pardon me?
I don't know anybody other than Ebenezer Scrooge.
You're beginning to look like Scrooge. me make you comfortable. Humbug. Give me some more ways God talks to you. I'm going to tell you, I thought about this and came up with 8. So you got a ways to go. Other people. See, tell me about that. How does that speak to you?
The beauty of creation.
Yeah. Okay. You know, an interesting thing, I'm going to put here the moon. For me, the moon is really, I'll call the kids and say, I might be in California or somewhere, get outside and look at the moon, the full moon tonight. So, what's the significance of the moon as relates to our beliefs in church? Specifically, people define faith as what? It's belief in things unseen. So I think some line for some movie it was in, God, a clever fellow. I think this moon thing is important because you say, well, do you believe in the moon? I don't see any moon. But on a monthly basis, it reappears. So I think that message is, sometimes it might seem dark, but if you just believe in the cycle of the moon, there's a good ending, and it ends on a positive note, and it's something you depend on every month. So at this juncture, I want to kind of pause for a minute and get back to a few more ways that that we get God's talking to us. Just 2 or 3 more.
I think when he doesn't answer me, he's really answering me.
No, the answer's no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you know me.
Thank God for unanswered prayers.
And the non-answers is the answer.
Okay. Couple more.
Through the writings of others.
I'm sorry?
Through the writings of others.
Okay. They come into your life. Mm-hmm.
Things I read, devotionals.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes for a long time. Sometimes just to give you a message. How about prayer? Mm-hmm. Bible. Ministers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes you can sit there and you just go, well, this is good. This is good information. Yeah, teachers. Now, let me ask you, I want to pause at teachers since I did a little of it. So just randomly, Bob, you were a teacher. So in your personal experience, can you think of some teachers that popped into your life that were influential? Were you in grade school? Can you think of a teacher that changed your life in grade school? Well, I can't. I'm going to tell this on myself. We moved around a lot because my dad kept getting promotions. And in those days, if you were offered a promotion and didn't take it, they didn't like it. You were stuck. So right in the middle of 3rd grade, we moved to California. And man, in the middle of the year, I didn't know anybody. And I had the pleasure of running as a male teacher, which was very unusual. His name was Dewey Chambers, a great teacher. And he sort of sensed that I needed a little extra help. And he figured out some things he could play to me where I could excel. And we did all sorts of clever stuff. And I actually asked my parents in 3rd grade, I said, can we have Mr. Chambers over for dinner? Well, yes, and he accepted. So now I'm in graduate school, and this very question comes up, says, was there a teacher who really was meaningful? I went right to Dewey Chambers. So I called Sacramento, where they got the Department of Education. I said, this might be the bozo question of your year, but I went to school out there in 3rd grade in San Carlos Central Elementary, and I had a teacher named Dewey Chambers. Is there any way you could help me look him up or get a report on his status? And the girl said, you're joking, aren't you? And I said, no. She goes, he's in the office next door. And I said, what's he doing? He's the head of public schools for the state of California. He got on the phone. He goes, Billy. Unbelievable. So that's just a for example. These people intervene when you most intervene, you know, it's sort of like we're blessed. Any other thoughts? You guys throw some at each other if you want to. If not, I'm going to turn you loose because I've always believed in brief and succinct and to the point. Take a little time each. Yeah,
Back to the salmon. You said the salmon goes into the ocean and comes back to the same stream. How does he manage that?
It's totally intuitive, and we observed it this summer. We were on one of those Alaska trips on a river, one of those floating deals that goes fast and slow, and he slowed down. He said, see how the water's bubbling here? There's the stream. And it was a salmon run. They are driven, even though bears swat them out, you've seen that, and they are driven to get back up to the exact point where they were hatched. And that.
Somebody say, we were on an Alaska trip, and they said there's some kind of chemical in the water that they can smell. They can smell that distinct chemical for that river.
Even though they've gone from fresh water to salt water. Yeah. Anything else tweak your imagination you want to add to the list? Well, the point of all this, think about these things, stair steps. Incidentally, this is the definition of a good market. Higher highs and higher lows. So I do charting a lot, and charts are really fun, and also they really work. They really work because a lot of people believe in them. So I'll give you this as a stock tip. What do you do if you have a stock that just goes like this for about a year? Meanwhile, news is coming out, the earnings are getting a little bit better, balance sheet's a little bit better. A couple people, analysts pick it up, still doesn't do anything. And then all of a sudden it does this. And the theory is you can take all this and swing it this way. So you're talking about this equals the putting down the foundation, and this equals the high rise. And that works too. It's just tries your patience. I knew you'd go for this. Yeah.
No, I don't have a question about that. I do have a question that, in my opinion, there's a big difference between salmon and people.
Meaning we're not very good to eat?
But sometimes when people are on that plane and take the dip down and come back on a totally different plane, and it's not one they've ever known about. And so they're having to deal with the unknowns, the trauma of the different plane and a new scenario totally. How does all of your points deal with that difference?
I was praying that someone like you would stand up and say what you just did. This whole lesson's designed to tweak your imaginations, go away, read the newspapers for a while, and just be open to you know, your own, what's going on in your life now, you know? Age is, you can chart that, can't we? And what's good about it and what's bad about it. So age, health, when you go to the doctor, lots of charts, lots of insurance. Well, your blood pressure was here and now it's here and so forth and so on. So these are all things useful. Yeah, Mike?
Well, I read a story years ago that I thought, and it was a story about the teacher. Got me thinking. This is the person that wrote a play called Children of the Lesser God.
Was she blind or deaf? Yeah.
And anyhow, this guy had written this play, and he went back to his high school, where an English teacher had written on one of his papers, "You write really well, and you might become an author." Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
He wrote this play that won the Pulitzer Prize and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Came back to visit the teacher, and she said, "You know, you were so meaningful to me and so forth." He said, so her response was, "I don't remember who you were." And she had 150 students.
Yeah.
So I don't remember you.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of times if people could do that, and I think it'd be a great thing to do, is to make a list, like you say, of people that have been meaningful. And if they're still alive, write them a note and say, hey.
That's where I'd like to end up. I spent about 2 days just making lists of a lot of people that intervened in my life at different times. One of them just died today, so. But it's a fun exercise. Yeah. Yeah.
Don't you think that when you have your high, and then all of a sudden you have this low, do you not think that that spurs you on and makes you stronger and makes you get back to that high, and then it does it again, and then you get stronger? And I can truly say that's what happened to me. So I lived a very nice life, a very simple life, very well,
Mm-hmm.
average life, country clubs and all the above. I get married, I get divorced, my life goes to hell.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at that point, you have 2 kids, and then all of a sudden, you get tough, and you fight, and then it goes down, you can't find a job. Then I get stronger, and they get stronger. I can truly say my personality changed radically from when I was 18 years old, when I got to be 79.
Mm-hmm.
And I was known to be very shy, or that was shocking. But, and when I went to my high school class recently, there's about 20 of us, and we meet still. We're all in leadership. And we were sitting around a table, and we were all asking questions, and I was always hoping that this would happen. Well, we were always just talking frivolous things, and they finally said, "So what have you been doing the last 50 years?" Going around the table, well, I was a teacher, and I didn't work, and I was a nurse, and they came to me and they said, "What have you been doing?" She hadn't said anything. And I told them when I didn't know what was your degree, and I didn't have a degree. Well, then how did you get to do that? Because I studied. I kept moving. I kept moving up. I knew I needed more money. I would change my job. And I said, I had determination to get my kids to college. And that I think is what causes things and makes people a whole lot stronger and gives them motivation. At least it did for me.
And then you married a professor.
And then I married.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just went up.
Oh, that's good stuff. Yes.
Bill, regarding the equating the salmon life cycle to human life cycle,
Hmm?
issue about that. In terms of life cycle, and I mentioned this in one of the talks that I gave, there's 2 options. One is gradual, slow decline for those individuals that develop unfilled.
Wait a minute, Bob. This is too good a stuff for us not to hear.
Yeah.
Start with it. This could be fishy.
Well, I'll scale it up here. So regarding the life cycle of humans, there are 2 options for that. There's the option of a typical life cycle, which is a slow, gradual decline characterized by chronic illness, disabilities, and so on until the end. The other is to maintain health, institute preventive health measures, and you stay pretty much at an even keel, and then there's a sudden decline. So there's kind of two life cycle options for humans.
I don't disagree. But did make you think.
Oh, I understand. Yeah,
yeah,
it did. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Bob, I think that's a good point, and I think with Pat's thing, you know, some people pull themselves up or use faith to get, but some people go into depression and don't get out of that. So, you know, hopefully you made a good. Oh, hang on, wait just a second.
I just had a saying for you that has meant a lot to me, and it's from Tea House of the August Moon. And it goes, pain makes man think, thought makes man wise, wisdom makes life endurable.
That's good.
Very nice. I bet you made a difference in a lot of people's lives. Yeah, good for you. Okay, now anybody else?
Thanks for your attention. We can keep playing around with this. There's food here to kind of, things are quiet one day, add to the list or critique it, and it is enough stuff to kind of keep you going. So, final question. Yeah.
You were talking, is that on? Can you hear that? No. You were talking about guides previously. How do you feel, when I hear the word guides, I think about the guides that are the angels.
Guides what?
That are the angels.
Yeah, okay.
And I believe in those angels, and I believe they're coming in a matter of intuition. And I 3 times had something very serious that I made a decision, and I didn't listen to my intuition once, and it was horrible. I listened to my intuition the other 2 times, and it worked out tremendously. One, I was having surgery. 2 weeks, 2 weeks before the surgery, I was supposed to go in and have my pre-op. And all of a sudden, something hit me that I wasn't supposed to do it. And it was because of the way things were processing, things weren't right. And all of a sudden, I fell apart in the doctor's office, and I said, I can't do this. And he said, why not? It's 2 weeks. We have to finish. No, I can't do this. Something's wrong. And I just went hysterical. Went back in the office, talked to the nurse for a long time, and I said, wait a minute. I can do 30 minutes. Can you do anything in 30 minutes? And I came back, and he said, I don't need you upset in the operating room. And I said, no, 30 minutes is okay. I went into the surgery. 30 minutes exactly, my heart went sky high, and I wake up with 10 gorgeous firemen around my bed. In exactly 30 minutes. And I was fine. It was SVT, and I think probably the doctor knows that. And but that is what I call intuition. And I would not have been in very good condition if I'd gone past 30 minutes, I can tell you. They immediately took me to Mercy Hospital and realized what it was. But that's why I say, when you talk about guides, that's what I think of.
Good. Yeah. Well, thanks for your attention. This is fun. Good ideas. Yeah.